well lit.
Yes, no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
We were doing this, I don't know, it was about 15, 20 years ago, and we were doing this production of Arturo Ui at the National Theatre. And I never forget, I was young players cast and had tiny parts. And at one stage, the Olivier is a huge stage, you know, it's enormous. I mean, one thing he said to me, which was very wise and which I took with me, he said, when you speak in this theatre, you need to almost start a vowel here and finish it over there. And I think I've passed that on. You have to start the vowel over to one side in order for them all to get it.
Yeah.
And of course, technically, it's really hard to make that real. But he allowed that to happen quite naturally, and also was willing to pass it on to younger members of the company.
And what about consonants? Did he
Well, they come up before and after the vowel. So that if you were saying cut, you'd do the C stage left. Now hang on. It depends where you're facing.
Now, you famously performed or had a falling out with the Beckett estate when you decided to perform Not I as I. Could you perhaps discuss that? Tell us a little about the background to that decision?
Well, it was a reinterpretation of the work to make this character, as it were, the central part of the experience. And Not I, for me, is a very negative way of looking at the play, whereas I is more, I think, more of a tease for the audience.
Yes, it was famously noted, of course, that you had turned it into a comedy.
That's right.
And that upset the Beckett estate.
Well, I've the greatest respect for the Beckett people, but I think sometimes they have to move on, move with the times. I like to be modern.
Yes. Of course, the major change you made in your version of Not I, was that the original character, if you like, is a mouth. Mm-hmm. You changed it to a nose.
Well, what we were trying to do was, I think we're heading for the eyes. And what we were trying to do was introduce the idea that the whole face is going to indicate what's happening.
Yes.
I'm talking to you now, and I'm aware I'm wearing my sunglasses.
Yes, yes.
I know that a lot of what I'm doing might be slightly enigmatic without you being able to see my eyes.
He was able to pass that on to the younger members of the company, which is, you know, not many great actors are that generous, in my experience. So the vowel trick was it was quite key in me in the roles I ended up getting cast in. I wouldn't have played the train driver in The Wind in the Willows if I didn't know about the vowel trick.
Yes. And of course, it means that the audience can hear you.
Well, if you're saying the word, I don't know, cut, for example.
Sorry?
Cut.
Cut. Oh, sorry, cut, yes.
As in, you know, film. That's why it came to mind. You would start the vowel over here, ah, but the C of the consonant would be staged left, and the T would be... depending on whether or not you were, you know, if your action was over here, you would have to start the valve here and then go over here. But basically, let me get this right. The difficulty is when there's a
It's a very complex system, isn't it?
well, the difficulty is when there's a consonant in the middle of a word. So if there's cannot, do you go cannot? Oft. I'm trying to think how to explain this. He's so much better at this than I am, obviously.
I mean, banana, for instance.
Banana would, well, you could, if you started at stage left, you'd be over here. Are you in the audience or am I in the audience? You in the
I'm
audience.
standing in the street.
It's a better view in the balcony. I mean, I have to say, and the acoustic's better. But you know the slips, you know the bit on the
Oh,
raised
yes,
section.
yes.
If you were in there,
Yes.
the trouble is you'd get all of the cut,
Yes.
but you wouldn't get any of the T.
So you just hear cut.
You would, but depending on,
It seems like a rather flawed technique.
well, it's a shit theatre. He would always say, particularly with Shakespeare, never drop at the end of a line.
Never drop at the end of a line.
I don't mean physically. I don't mean, you know, as in a, you know, going out to shot. I mean never drop. Not just the energy. I mean the poetry of it.
Yes.
Now is the winter of our discontent. May glorious summer by the son of York, and all the clouds that loud upon our house, in the deep bosom of the ocean. And then you can go down. Very.
Now that's interesting because you don't hear verse speaking like that anymore.
No, you don't, and they're wrong.
If we could just briefly return to Moi, you turned it into a musical, controversially, and it toured with some success, it has to be said, around Holland.
Yeah.
But as a result, I mean, we have to mention this. The Beckett estate effectively banned you from performing any of Samuel Beckett's works in perpetuity, unusually.
I think they'll go back on that eventually. That's a train.
Yes.
What we tried to do. I tell you what happened. I was having a drink one night in my club with Mike Batt,
Oh yes.
and he heard of what I was doing and decided he wanted to write some songs. Remember, he wrote the Wombles songs,
Yes, indeed. Yes.
and I knew when he said this that he was the man to get hold of this and really bring it to life.
Yes. And now you're thinking of doing something similar with Ibsen.
Yep. Enemy of the people.
How can I think I'm standing strong, yet feel the air beneath my feet? How can happiness feel so